Hi, my name is João. I'm a front-end engineer, and I work at Seegno, a company here in Braga, where we focus on making great applications with great engineering. So we're here today to talk about universal applications. And of course, the first question is, what is a universal application? How many of you know what is an universal application? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 10, probably. Okay. So it will be a really difficult task to explain this to you. And yesterday, while I was preparing my this presentation, I was struggling how I could do this and explain this concept to you. Such a great audience with different backgrounds, designers and product managers and project managers, and of course developers. And I realized that you and we all together can describe the concept of a universal application. Like, we have a developer and a designer, and we have different backgrounds and know different concepts, but at the same time we have the same task, which is delivering to the end user a great user experience. So the actual definition of a universal application, universal applications are applications that run where almost every single line of code can run on both the browser and the server. But to explain this better, I need to give a preview or a brief story of the early days of the internet. Like, in the beginning, pages were generated somewhere by a server that sent it back to the user. For example, picture this: you visit NewYorkTimes.com and you ask to the server this resource, which is a plain HTML page with all the news and the home page, and the server generate this page and serve you. And then you click on an article because you want to read it, and you are redirected and you see this page refresh, all the page going blank, and you wait like 1, 2, 3 seconds. And that time, this is okay, because the browsers weren't that powerful, and the connections, internet connections, weren't that fast as they are today. So you didn't care, because that's what you get it. But then, with advancements in the technologies and the creative technologies, that guys that get really creative things done with technology, they push the boundaries of the browsers. So the browser evolved, and these new technologies allowed us to develop this kind of applications, and the paradigm just changed a bit. So we thought, like, we have these browsers, really capable browsers, able to do really powerful things, so why can't we change all the logic to the client? And we create this concept of single page application, which this diagram exemplifies really easily, where you ask for this new version of New York Times. Of course, I don't think that New York Times uses this technology at this time, but you ask for New York Times, and New York Times just give you like a plain old HTML file, and the browser generates the whole page, all the content, and then every resource you want, that just ask for an API. And there were really great benefits for the user, mainly, like increased runtime performance. Like, this allows new page transitions, that crazy page transitions you can see. enables new functionality like offline functionality, like Google Drive and Gmail use this for a while and continues to use this technology, functionality, sorry, and great flexibility for the developer because you can continue doing your pages with JavaScript, but the server was done in any language. You have no constraints, but at the same time, there are some trade-offs, like performance. Because of the fact you need to serve all the pages and all the resources necessary to just show content, you have really, not really, but slow page loading times and need to handle the browser cache, etc. And then SEO, it was really a problem because the crawlers, for example, Google, 3 years ago didn't use SEO, and at Seegno, this is an example. At Seegno, we experiment a lot with our own website, and it tried to, and actually did, a single-page app. All our own website is a single-page app, and when we finished up our website, we weren't indexed by Google. Because everything was done with Angular, and there were these strange characters. You can see curly braces everywhere because it wasn't actually content. So we need to develop a strategy to snapshot all our pages and developers, because the maintainability of your website is the worst thing ever. And there's another thing about maintainability, which is of course, you have this possibility to, to separate the concerns, like the client handles all the view logic and this layer of UI, and the server just handles serving pages, single pages. But at the same time, every aspect of currency format, form validation, you need to handle, no entrance? It's my computer. Oh, sleep mode, lazy computer. Please give me one. So you feel like you're repeating code and everything. So developers always search for the holy grail for performance and developer experience, and we always strive to be happy with the things we do. So with advancements on frameworks, you get universal applications, almost allowed by this new kid on the block, called Kid on the Block, which is React with these new features, allowed some new possibilities like universal applications. And a universal application is you just build your code and your UI layer, and this can be generated both on the server and on the client at the same time, and can be served to you, the user, as fast as the server renders this page. And once this is loaded on the browser can smartly handle this render view, and then you have these crazy paste transitions allowed. And this gets us better user experience. I have this sentence from John Maida: savings in time feels like simplicity, and simplicity leads to greater user experience and happiness for everyone, because everyone just wait in line for forever. Like, you need to wait for a bus, or need to wait in a queue in a transit, or wait for your coffee to be ready. So you don't need to wait like 300 milliseconds for your page to load so you can read a new article. So by providing a fully rendered page to the user, you can access the information faster. And it is easy and almost for free to implement strategies to improve page loading times. The first time, the perceived performance is greatly improved with this kind of applications. And we have better developer experience because the developer and the user, we are the same kind, like there's always two users, the end user and the developer, because the developer uses your code and uses your application. So this allows some performance optimizations for free, like caching your resources and caching all the requests, so your page in runtime will be really fast, and improves application maintainability as well. So when and where should I use it? Like, should I change all my application to be universal application? I don't think so. I will explain to you later, but businesses where profits largely depend on money and time, because time is money, you know, e-commerce, for example, and heavy content-based websites, like your own website, your company's website, or your client's website, because they need to maintain this CMS with content. They always uploading new projects or new entities to your website. So pages like Gmail, they won't benefit of it because they will need to load everything so the user can interact with it. But pages like Medium or newspapers websites, they really need this kind of first load performance and speed, because the user wants to read the content of your website as soon as possible. But there are some trade-offs, like with greater power comes greater responsibility. Peter Parker, no, his uncle. But, and it's true, this gives you really power, like great amount of power and energy, but at the same time, you need to be aware of some problems you have, like caching. For example, this happened to Sony, to PlayStation. Do you remember that problem they have, like they load other users' information because they forgot to clean up the user cache on the server? So they provide user information to another user that was crazy. So you need to be aware of this and be really careful. And increases like 10 times your application complexity, because you need to use new and adapt to new points of view and the way you build your applications. And you need to be really aware of some framework and tools you really need to use to load a page using this technique. And there's some performance penalty on the server, because you need to, in some complex views, you really need to generate this every time the user requests them. So your browser and CPU usage will be like crazy. In conclusion, better user experience. With universal applications, you get better user experience by reducing the time spent waiting to see content. And you have better developer experience by forcing better design patterns, like using patterns given you by frameworks and these new great tools that are appearing and improving our life as developers. And at the same time, these patterns and these constraints, and I always think that constraints leverage you and leads you to do great things. Like if you have rules, you don't do bad things, so your code will be easier to maintain, and in a month or 1 year, you'll see it, and you'll see that your application is better using these patterns that if you're using, jQuery or some other kind of frameworks or libraries that didn't help the user like for the first time, but the developers will be actually happier. So thank you, and that's all.